Hi there, and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2024 Forest River Wildwood 28 VBXL. We are just going to start off with the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera, as well as a Lippert stair system, so you can get up and periodically check your seals and everything. If you want to get set up with either of those, you can contact your parts department and they can put together a quote for you. You got your spare tire located right in the back here, and then utilizing this back bumper, you just pull this cap out, and that is where we're going to store your 15-foot sewer hose. We currently have it in the front compartment, still in the packaging as it's brand new, but that's where you want to store that, just so it keeps most of the smell out of the unit. And then you can just put this cap back on, and it holds it nice and safe during travel. In the corner, you got your 30 amp twist lock connection here. You're just taking note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this end. Line those two guys up, push it in. You got an 1/8 turn to lock it into place. And then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down and secure it into place. Cable satellite hookup right above that. And if you follow this 30 amp cord back, you do come to your standard 30 amp connection. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service. We do include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you're going down to 15 amps power, it's really just to run your fridge and your lights. You're not going to want to run the air conditioner on that. It's just not enough amperage. And whenever you do plug it in, you're going to have that blue light telling you have a successful power source. If that red light were to be on, it's just telling you that your power source is bad. It's not on the trailer side of things. You're going to notice right here, you got your shower hookup. That's standard 751 key. One does come included with your unit. Right down below there, you got your service port for your hot water heater. Whenever you pick up your trailer, this switch is probably going to be off. You do just need to turn that on, and that supplies 12-volt power to the thermostat inside, which I will show you in a minute when we get there. One thing I'm going to mention when we go over, don't know why that turned on. One thing I'm going to mention when we go over this water heater is just that it is an on-demand system, so it's a new system, and when it comes to winterization, it's a little bit different. Your traditional ones, you turn those bypass valves at the back and you don't run any antifreeze through there. With this guy, there is no bypass valves, and if it is, you don't touch them. You run the antifreeze through the system, of course, with it off. Once you're done running all your antifreeze through everything, just cracking this pressure relief valve to allow that antifreeze to escape out once it gets cold and wants to expand. That way you don't run the risk of bursting any of your coils. You got your city water connection, so if you're at a site with service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Right down below that is just going to be this black tank flush whenever you're using that. Very important. You have your sewer connected and your valve open for your black tank. Not doing so does run the risk of bursting your tank, so just be mindful of that. Turn it on and it just flushes out that tank, keeping things that little bit cleaner. And then you come to your main sewer dump. You got this cap here, you're just twisting it off, pulls off like so. These are gonna be the same two ears that your sewer hose has. They just line up with the notches on the spout end, and you twist and lock that into place. Whenever you're emptying your black tank, which you are gonna wanna empty first, you got two valves. You got the first one right here, and then the second one right here. So always pull that first one, and then you can pull this one, of course, with your sewer hose connected. And then once you're done emptying your black, you can come behind that and empty your gray, because it's typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. It's the same thing, just pull in that valve, allowing all the water to drain out. A little further ahead, you do just come to this storage compartment, just twisting that, opening that guy up. This is where you're going to find our included starter pack. It comes with that sewer hose, which we've told you about, that goes in the back bumper. Comes with a 15-foot water hose, some toilet paper, and some other miscellaneous goods, including your 30 amp park adapter. We're on the front of the unit here, right on that front frame. You're gonna notice you got the battery disconnect switch with the battery disconnect switch on. The batteries are disconnected from the unit. If you were to turn that battery disconnect switch off, the batteries will become disconnected from the unit, and as an added feature, you can just remove this key and take it with you if you want to do so. Just stops anyone from being able to access 12 volt unless they've played with the wiring. You got a 27 RV battery sitting in this front box. Underneath this is two 20-pound propane tanks. Most of the time you get everything you need right here up top with this access port, but for the purpose of the video, I will just slide this right off. You got two 20-liter propane tanks. You got your selector valve on the regulator here. With the arrow pointed this way, you're gonna be drawing off this tank. If you were to turn it to the other way, you're obviously gonna be drawing off that tank. Whenever you're turning it on, slowly open it up, just like any standard regular barbecue, all the way. Opens up the flow of propane to the unit. You got the green telling you that it's good to go. Tongue jack right up front. One way's up, the other way's down. You also have a little docking ring. Inside here, again, more storage space, weight distribution, which this customer opted for. Now there's two switches on the side of this unit. You got one in front, one in the back. They both work the same way there to control your stabilizer jacks. Work pretty simple. Hit that button up, which should extend. Those feet are going to start making their way down to the ground. Now the feet may go down and up from the ground at individual times. Don't panic if they do. As soon as you hear the motors wind up like so, that's when you know you're fully extended. And it's just going to take any bounce or sway you see you have in the unit right now. The tracking goes the same way. You're just pushing your moving up the track. They're going to start making their way up. Again, they might go at different times, so don't panic. One starts going up before the other. And once you hear those motors torque up, that's when you know they're fully back up. A little further down here, you got your fresh water connection. So if you're out of sight, if you need to fill a fresh tank, just try to put the guard nose in here, turn it on, and that's what your water pump draws off of, out of your fresh tank. You got a little outside shower here, outside kitchen. From that guy up, you got a 120-volt mini fridge. You do have a little exterior shower / sprayer area on this side. So if you flip that hose up, you just take a note of those two notches there. It lines up with the two notches on this end. Once you line them up, push and twist, and you'll have outside water right on this side of the trailer. Whenever you're done with that hose, I do just recommend stretching it out, allowing everything to drain out. That way it doesn't make a mess inside. Besides that, you do have a griddle lifting that travel latch. Sliding this griddle all the way back out. You got this line at the back here, which quick connects on this end. Pulling this line all the way down. Over here. You got your quick connect propane line, which pretty simply pull the dust cap off, push the nozzle in, pull back, push, and lock into place. That locks that line in. You're gonna turn that valve to the open position, opening up the flow of propane. And then you can come to your griddle, hit it with the igniter, and it should fire right on up. And then to disconnect it, it's just the opposite. And then just push it back in. Locks everything back into place. And then right down below is going to be that fresh water drain. So whenever you're done with your fresh water, pulling this valve, it's going to drain all the water that's inside the fresh tank out. You got two 120-volt plugs, as well as another coax on this side. You got your furnace exhaust. So whenever your furnace is running, this is going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then right up here, you got your range hood vent. So whenever you get to your campsite, opening up that flap, that way it allows the fumes to evacuate. And then whenever you're traveling, snapping it back into place. That way you don't get any excess dust inside. Further down the unit, you got the button for your rear jacks. Works the same way as the front ones. And then right down below, you got your two low point drains. Whenever you're servicing a faucet or just want to drain the lines from the water, drain the water out of the lines from going stale or stagnant, just crack these guys open, and that's going to drain any fluid that's inside the lines. So you currently see that pink stuff coming out just because it is winterized. Now, just take a step on inside. Take your assist handle, push it up, hold it 90 degrees, it'll lock it into place. You can open up that front door. Opening it up all the way, I'm just going to mention this now, whenever you do have your front door open up all the way, it does come into contact with this awning arm, so before you ever go to run your awning, just making sure that you have the door closed enough so that it can make its way by. For the stairs, you're pulling that blue latch, allow these stairs to fold out. You got adjustable legs. You're just having to push that silver button down that'll allow you to push those legs up or down to adjust to your campsite needs. Once they're down, you can take a step on up, fire extinguisher right on your left. That's gonna be simple, just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. You got your dimmer switch, which is technically the controls for the lights inside here, and it's a dimmer switch, so if you tap it once, it'll turn them on and off, but if you push and hold it, it'll take the lights dim to bright or bright to dim, and then wherever you let off is where it stays. Up on the wall, you got your water pump switch, so turning that on draws out of your fresh tank. Monitor panel right up above. You got your battery, your fresh, your black, and your gray. And then of course you got a light switch which turns on the LED awning strip light. And then another one which does a backlight behind the slide. Come into the slide, you push that button up, the slide out's gonna start making its way out. Once fully extended, you can hear the whines and the clicks of the motor. Before you're ever running that slide out, always making sure you know what's on either side of both inside and outside areas. That way you don't run the risk of bending or ripping anything. As you can see, it's fully out and stopped, so that's when you know it's extended. And then you got your awning switch. Pushing and holding that button down, that awning's gonna start making its way out. And once fully extended, you're gonna see the back of the metal tube, a little flap hang down. There you go, you got that black tube. Now sometimes the flap does get stuck, so you just gotta retract it and try and put it back out just to try and get it to come and hang down. And there we are, there's that flap in the back of the metal tube. Now for when you start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, and just pull down on it. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better, you can do the same thing with your arm up front, and it'll allow for more shade underneath. Just always making sure you do push these arms back up straight before you go to bring your awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And to bring it in, it's just as simple as pushing and holding this button up, and it will start making its way through. Once inside, you get your TV back through here, so you can mount a TV if you'd like to do so. Run these cords down through this nice little hole here. You got your cable satellite hookup, as well as this little black button that turns the antenna on the roof. It also improves radio frequency, so just be mindful of that. You're pre-wired for Wi-Fi. Again, if you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact our parts department. We got our sound bar, which works pretty much just like a radio from home. You got Bluetooth, aux, USB, and then you have Zone 1 and Zone 2. Those are going to be the only two things you don't really know where they are. Zone 1 is going to be your interior speakers. Zone 2 will be your exterior speakers. You got your fireplace right down below. Power button on the far right. Button beside that does change to your different flame colors, and then you can get to your different rock colors with one left to that. And then you get to your fan settings. So you push it twice, it'll go into low. One more time, and you go into high. Now that's high heat. And then you can set a timer from anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Whenever you are running the fireplace, you aren't going to want to run your air conditioner or your microwave, so just be mindful of that. You do kind of have to pick and choose when it comes to that. Storage on either side of that. Coming into the bedroom, grab and open up that door. Light switch is just on the wall. You got a bed. Of course, if you grab the foot and lift up, it gives you access into that front storage compartment, as well as a little bit of storage boxes at the foot. And then you got your versatile controls, so pushing and holding that button up, the versatile bed is going to start making its way up. And then of course, if you push it down, versatile bed's going to make its way down. USB plugins on either side of the bed. And of course, you got sleep app access for both sides, and there is plugins in there as well. Into the main living space, you got what's called your Versa Lounge. So you got some individual lights right above your head. Currently have it set up right now, so you have a nice sectional here. If you'd like to switch that up, you need more seating space at the table, you just got to remove 2 cushions. Throw them off to the side. This just slides out of a couple stake pockets. You got metal feet on either side, and then they just opposite. You got the same stake pockets on this side, lining those guys up with their appropriate holes. And then you can have more seating space back at the couch, or at the table, sorry. Just like so. Then if another feature, this does turn into a bed, so you're just taking those 2 feet off. You can sit it on the feet that you see you have around here, and you take your back cushions from the center. You would have yourself another bed. Into the kitchen space, you got your microwave, which pretty much works just like home. Range hood, one button up is light, the other one turns on the fan. Whenever you're running your stove, I would recommend running that fan just as it does run off propane. And speaking of that, because the furnace and the propane and the stove run off propane, you got an LP detector right here near the ground. Propane's heavier than air. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and turn on some vents just to ventilate it out a little bit because you're getting to a worrisome level. To get the stove going, pushing it in, pulling it over the light, hit the igniter, and it usually fires right on up. Whenever you've had the propane off for a while and you go to fire something up for the first time, if it doesn't fire up right away, don't panic. It just takes a few minutes to get all the air purged out of the line, so just be mindful of that. And the same thing goes for the stove. Pulling this down. This knob here does control the knob lights as well as the stove light underneath. You're just taking this knob, throwing it over to that pilot option, pushing and holding it in, giving it a few seconds, again, to allow all the air out of the lines. Hitting the sparker again, it lights that little pilot underneath there, holding it in for another few seconds, and once that pilot stays lit on its own, you can turn it up to its desired temperature, and it'll fire right on up. One thing I'm going to mention, just inside the sink here, take my flashlight and turn it on, pull this little board back. That is where your water pump's going to sit, and that's where you got access to the bypass hose for winterization. There's just one screw right down here, and this whole thing will come out of the way, and it'll give you access to that if you want to do it on your own. We've got your Furrion fridge here. It is 12 volt. You got an off-grid section, so that's going to be the most 12 volt friendly option for whenever you're off-grid, not plugged into anything. And then you have a charcoal filter as well, just to help with odors. And you can order replacements, one of those, through our shop. You just, again, give us a phone call and get you a quote for that. Thermostat right on the wall here. Pushing that button once, it's going to illuminate itself. Pushing it again. You can either go to cool, heat, or cool plus heat. If you go to cool plus heat and leave it on auto, like so, it's going to kick either the furnace or the air conditioner on, depending on what you have your room set to and what it's sensing the room at. You can run it on just air conditioning by doing that. Whenever you have the fan in auto, again, it's on-demand system, so it works just like your house. Once the thermostat senses that at a certain temperature, it'll kick the air conditioner off. You can change that just by pressing this button once and then press it twice. You go to your fan option, and you can either put it on high or low, or you can put it on auto. I usually recommend just leaving it on auto. And then of course you can just run the fan if you'd like to do that, just turning this over to cool, turn that to off, and then you can change your fan from high or low. We're just going to turn that off. Inside the bathroom, light switch on your left, pretty much just like home. And then you have your main GFI plug right there on the wall. If you ever have an outlet, this would be the first place I'd look. You got Tesla on the bottom, reset up top. Just always making sure that that's not tripped. Whenever you have an outlet that doesn't work, a little green light tells you that it's a successful circuit. Roof vent right above your head inside here as well. So whenever you're showering, you can turn that on, just opening this guy up like so. You're gonna notice you do open up straight into the atmosphere. So if it were to start raining, it would get wet in here if you were to forget this open. We do sell max air vent covers here at the shop. A great little add-on, and then you can run this fan and leave it open as much as you want because there's a cover on there. Like little fan switch on the left. Storage space just inside here. And then just coming into the bunk room. In the bunk room, all the lights are on their own center push buttons. Not much I'm going to show you in here. This flips up just to add a little bit more room, but it does just fold down as easy as pulling it down. And you can pull it up. This side does the same thing. You got your fire exit, so you're just going to pull this tab. The screen's going to pop right out of place, and then you can take this handle, push it, and hop on out. This also turns out into a bed. It just unfolds. And then you got your main breaker and fuse panel. Wherever breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. You got all your fuses on the left. Whenever you have a fuse blow, there will be a red indicator light letting you know that which one's gone. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.